Welcome to In Her Voice, a podcast created for women who listen to and live by their deepest wisdom, their inner voice. This was made for you, the woman who feels pulled to more, to lead, to create, to dream, and to be a world changer. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach. Join me here each week as we explore what it means to reach for your inspired potential, all while honoring your worthiness each and every day. Hi everyone, this is Kelly, and you are listening to In Her Voice. Thank you so much for being here today. It makes me so happy to just imagine you putting in your earbuds or getting in your car and inviting me into your space and spending time with me. Oftentimes people will say to me, I feel like I just sat down with you and had a conversation, and that makes me so happy because that's how I feel when I sit down in my studio and I talk into the microphone. I imagine you right across from me, and it brings me such great joy to have this conversation with you. Today, I want to talk about using our emotions as information. This is a really interesting thing that has been coming up for me lately, just in thinking about it and sort of thinking about what our emotions tell us, instead of just reacting. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. So we all have emotions, right? We all are human, and some scientists actually believe that emotions are one of the things that make us human. And we feel things. We feel anger, fear, love, nervousness, excitement, joy, surprise. All of these things are what scientists call emotions. And I think emotions are super cool because scientists have been studying them for a really, really long time, and they still don't quite know how they're made, or, they can't mine it into data, because for the most part, emotions are something that a person feels from the inside out, meaning if I'm feeling a certain emotion, I have to explain that to you, and I have to tell you what I'm feeling. And certainly there are emotions that have physical side effects as well, but they're almost always accompanied with the inner emotion. So for example, when you're scared, your heart rate beats faster and your breathing becomes faster and your hands might start to shake or something like that. So there are the physical side effects of fear, and that is made by adrenaline in your body, and other chemicals in your body can produce other physical effects, but the emotions are still sort of like they happen in your brain, and no one is really sure how they happen, which is kind of cool, because as much as I love science, I think there's something pretty amazing that we're so complex as humans that people just haven't figured it all out yet. And it just reminds me that there is absolutely a divine element into our being, something that can't be explained with numbers or tests or anything like that. But I'm getting off track because we're talking about emotions. And so anyway, when we go throughout the day, we experience multiple emotions. We might be happy, and then we might get really mad. Someone pulled out in front of us, and then we might get good news and we're like so excited, or we might finally plan our vacation, and then we have this sense of expectation inside of us. So we can cycle through many emotions during a day. But one of the kinds of emotions that I particularly want to talk about are those knee-jerk reactions that we have, where sometimes an emotion just comes up almost unexplained, and it's like you can't even control it. For me, that is typically anger. And I started to realize like I would get angry over things that didn't seem like I should be angry about. And I wasn't sure why. And I realized this doesn't feel like I'm in control. It feels like my emotions are in control. And I don't like feeling that way. I want to know why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So I have a little story for you. My husband does this thing. He will come home at night from work, and usually I'm in the kitchen preparing dinner, and he'll, change his clothes and say hi to the kids and to Piper, and then he'll come back in the kitchen right about the time when I'm done cooking. And like, I will literally be putting food on the plates, and he will start unloading the dishwasher or putting the clean dishes that are in the sink away. And this, for the longest time, would make me so angry. I would just get so mad. And it's funny because even as I tell you guys about this, I can easily tap into that feeling of like being just super annoyed. Like, I just cooked dinner and I'm tired and the kids are fighting, and, I just want to sit down and eat dinner. And now you're starting this. And I would say something, or I would get really mad, and he would look at me like I was crazy because here he is like doing this helpful thing. And afterwards I would regret it because he was doing this helpful thing. And I was like, why does this create this sudden feeling inside of me that feels like I can't control it? And really, as I started to sit with it and I started to mine that emotion of anger for information, I realized a whole bunch of things. Number one, I realized that in my house growing up, this was the mood always at dinner time. Like, my mom, worked all day, and then she would come home and she would be making dinner, and she would like always, in my memory, it seemed like she would be angry when my dad came home. And so I sort of have that generational anger in me that has nothing to do with me. And when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been carrying this anger with me all of these years, and it's coming out now. I also realized that for me, I'm a highly sensitive person, and that at that time of day, I'm often feeling overtired. I'm feeling overstimulated because, if my kids are yelling at each other, or if there's a lot going on, or if the dog is, being crazy or whatever, I feel very agitated and like just overwhelmed with input. And so that was another thing that I was feeling that was kind of fueling that knee-jerk reaction of anger, even though it didn't have really anything to do with the thing that was prompting the anger, which was my husband putting the dishes away. Are you guys with me still on this? So what I was able to do is I was able to sit with that emotion and mine it for data, mine it for information, because really whenever we have these default reactions to things, what it is it's a story from so long ago that we have programmed into our being, and we're just following a program. It's like when you open up your computer and you open up your browser and your favorite tabs pop up. That's a program. It does that automatically, and it does that because it's been taught to do that. And so many of the things that we're doing every single day are on autopilot, including our reactions to things, including our emotions. And it is not until we step back from those emotions and get curious about what they're saying, about what they're telling us, that we have the ability to rewrite that program. Here's the thing, you guys. You do not have to keep going on the same program that you've been going on for years and years and years. You are allowed to change that. And all it takes is the intention of that. And it takes getting curious and being able to step back and spend some time analyzing the situation, mining the emotion for data. I love the word data because it just feels like so fact-based. Whereas emotions often don't feel like that. Emotions feel like that they come out of nowhere. And so let's get really clear on the story. And let's get really clear on the story that we're telling ourselves. And then let's decide to create a new story. And with that, we can create a new feeling or a new emotion. And it becomes very powerful. So in this particular situation, what I was able to recognize is, number one, I can release that generational anger. I don't have to take on the anger of my mom. I don't have to repeat that pattern just because I saw her doing that. And that is not, by the way, a conscious thing. That's a subconscious thing that I was doing that I didn't even realize. Number two, I can take time for myself before I begin with the dinner prep and with that time of the day to like chill out. And I do that on a regular basis. I will sit down and I will read for a few minutes, or I'll take a shower, or I'll just spend some time in my room. Like I kind of need to decompress a little bit before I dive into that very active parenting and family time for me. And number three, I can really appreciate what my husband is doing. He's trying to help. And I can ask him, I can say, hey, when you do that, it stresses me out because I'm feeling overstimulated and I just want to sit down and I want to eat dinner and I'm worried that it's going to get cold and I just want to enjoy our company without feeling like we're doing things. So can you start that sooner, or can you wait until after dinner? I don't have to be angry about that. And this is just a really simple story, but I think all of you can relate to this idea that there are certain things in your life that bring up emotions out of nowhere. And that is your automatic reaction. And if you are ready to begin to step out of that old programming, to begin to step out of your default way of being and live with intention and listen to your inner voice and to start being in a way that is true to who you are instead of true to how your parents were or how you grew up, then this is a really valuable way of being. So it's just really about feeling that emotion, getting curious, maybe asking the question or making the statement, that's interesting. That's something I say a lot, like, oh, well, that's interesting if I'm feeling a certain way. Sometimes I will be feeling really critical of someone and I'll say to myself, that's interesting. What's that all about? Where is that coming from? And it just really gives me the ability to step back and to learn something new about who I am. And the more that we know about who we are and how we work and how our brains work and how our heart works, the better we can live the life that we want to live, the better that we can create an experience day by day by day that makes us feel good and that helps us love the life that we're living. And doesn't that just sound great? Don't you want to love the life that you're living? I really want this for you. I want it for me. I want it for everyone. And I really do believe that paying attention to our emotions can be the key to this. Now, if you hear me talk about this and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. I hear you. And this is one of the things I do as an inner voice coach. I help you learn about you. Because when you begin to listen to your inner voice, when you begin to take a step back, to get curious, to ask the right questions, and to really do the self-reflection that is required to live by your inner voice and to live a purposeful, created life, then you're going to feel that way. You're going to be excited about the life that you're living. And it is so worth it. And this is how I can help you. I can help you connect to that. I can help you listen. I can help you understand. Have I ever told you that listening is one of my superpowers? I know I say it all the time, but it is. And I don't know even oftentimes how that works. It just does. And so if you are interested in connecting with me and talking with me about what it would be like to have an inner voice coach, to start digging into your emotions, to start understanding how you work and listening to your inner voice, let's chat. You can connect with me at kellycovert.com. Just go to the Work With Me tab and click on Inner Voice Coach. coaching or Inner Voice Coaching Your Pocket. Those are my 2 coaching programs, and we can set up a discovery call and see if it will work for you. I want to remind you, you're here for a reason. I 100% believe that you were put here to create an impact, to make a difference. You are worthy.